Yeah, let's shoot the shit. Where are you at right now?
I'm actually at my parents' house in outside of Baltimore, Maryland, right now.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I came out here for a couple little shows, and yeah, brought the kids and family, so they're getting in some grandma and grandpa time.
Heck yeah. Where they're gonna be spoiled as shit when you get them back, but that's how it
Oh
always.
yeah, yeah. We do a pretty good job of it ourselves. So
Yeah, I know how that goes. Um, yeah, so you're from Baltimore originally?
yep, yeah. Yeah. My parents still live here. My mom's actually moving out to our place here soon. But yeah, we're born here and until I went to school in Oklahoma, to Alva, Oklahoma for college.
Oh,
And
you went to Alva, huh?
yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
know it.
Oh yeah. When were you there?
'06 to 12,
Okay. Did
I
you
think.
know Toby Cant? Toby and Taylor Cant?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Yeah, they live next door to me.
no shit.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
they were my next door neighbors. I lived in a house with like real shitty house, like with probably five or six rough stock riders, and
Oh shit.
they lived right next door. So yeah, they're good people.
Yeah. So I graduated with Toby, and of course Taylor now owns the liquor store, so that's it's perfect for my crew. But yeah, that's a small world, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, college rodeo there in Alva, and it didn't take me 6 years to finish a 4 year degree. I stuck around there for another few years, and then but I met my wife there, and she's from Phillips, South Dakota, and
Okay.
with kind of West River, South Dakota, and yeah, so we ended up out bought a little place out there, and yeah, we've been there for I don't know 6 or 7 years now. So
Nice. Right on.
yeah,
That's pretty cool. And you were bareback, is that right?
yes sir, yep,
Are you
yeah,
still
and
riding at all, or are you just doing music full
no,
time?
this music full time. I probably did it. I did up till 2018, I think. Was the last time I got on one, but yeah, towards the end there, I was just kind of getting on a few a year, just some matches and stuff like that. And it was never that good. It wasn't like it was going to go anywhere for me, but I really loved doing it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I was getting to the point where I was starting to feel like the old guy. so, so it's all right to be the old guy as long as you're kicking ass. But I had a we had a our first boy, I think, or around 7 and 17, and then yeah, it's just the music's kind of replaced the whole rodeo thing for me. We kind of travel our asses off all the time, and yeah, it worked out. I really loved doing it. It really meant a lot to me. But yeah, it was this thing's kind of paying the bills, and and that definitely wasn't going to do it for me, I guess.
Yeah. And it's one thing to be like Brett Favre still hanging around when you can still kind of compete,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you're
There's nothing wrong with
if
being the old guy if you're slaying them, but
yeah.
if you're not and just hitting up one or two a year, it
Mm,
hurts a whole lot more. And
oh man.
yeah, it was fun while it lasted, and yeah, it really did a lot for changing the whole direction of my life, though.
Yeah.
I growing up here, like we're pretty close to Baltimore City here, and I just I don't know, I never really felt like I belonged here,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be a cowboy, and like you know this was we didn't have horses or nothing here when we were growing up. It was just like, well, I guess rough stock is going to be the way to go about it, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was good. It really put me in some good spots to meet the right people and meet the people that really changed my life and the way it is. So I'm really fortunate and thankful for it.
Yeah. Well, then you ended up in Alba, and Alba's, that's a pretty wild little party town in a very, very conservative Bible Belt area, So it's
Yeah.
kind of a juxtaposition, I mean, Alva's well. I think any little ag college in Oklahoma is pretty well known for throwing some ragers
Yeah,
and just being a pit of debauchery, but at
even
the
yeah,
same
like it was,
time, yeah, half of those guys making all the noise on Saturday night are still going to show up on to church on Sunday, so it's kind of a weird situation.
yeah, it was different for me too because I was when I was like high school rodeo and everything. I didn't drink or anything, and I don't like drink a whole lot now either. But college I sure did. But
Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't in the party crowd, before I went, and yeah, things probably would have been better off to have not partied so hard in college. Like everyone probably feels that way, but yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm not in prison right now. I'm in my parents' garage. My kids are raging upstairs, so this is about the quietest spot I could find, and
It's all
a little
good,
bit of
man.
light. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. So like, what took you to bareback? Because that's a like saddle bronc. Everybody knows, and then of course the bull
It's like
riding.
the,
Gets all
yeah,
the
like
ladies and
Saddlebank's like your typical like cowboy rough stocker man, and the bull
yeah,
riding's kind of like what the city boys can kind of get in on pretty easy. It's cheap equipment and all, um and out around here there's quite a few bull ridings, and I started. That's how I started, and yeah, I got a hold of one of Chris LeDoux's CDs when I was in high school, and man, the music like took me to another place and
yeah,
gave me a longing for something that I hadn't seen, and yes, I really that was probably the catalyst to start riding bareback horses, and I was really bad at riding bulls too, so it uh, it it worked out better, and yeah, I just got my shit rocked for like all through high school, and then college. We our coach sent us over to Fort Scott one. I think when I was a freshman, and Jeff Collins was over there, assistant coach, and actually started learning some stuff because that's the thing out here. It's just having access to people to learn anything
hmm
about them, and so after that, it made enough so I could, just get the hang of it, and felt like there was some promise to it,
yeah,
but yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it, and yeah, I just kind of quit riding bulls and
yeah,
getting beat up from that, and I was pretty lucky with bareback horses. Besides, a bunch of concussions, not a ton, but I got enough that I think I might have been a little smarter before I started,
yeah.
and but yeah, so I got pretty lucky with that, and yeah, so I stuck with it for a long time, and so it was a pretty good run.
Yeah. So when did you start writing music?
Uh, I'd say right right there out of right there in the beginning of or the beginning of college, I really started actually getting after it.
Mm,
I had a lot of downtime where I didn't really have, when you're a freshman in college, and you're from halfway across the country, you don't know a whole lot of people, so you have a lot of time to yourself to kind of write stuff. And I started writing some stuff in high school, and but I didn't really kind of get around anybody else. As soon as you go to college, you got an audience every
hmm
Friday and Saturday night, and just kind of parties and messing around, and so yeah, that's when I kind of really started writing stuff. Um, I never was really like when I talk about like Chris LeDoux's music, like as important it was to me, never to like try to go out and write rodeo songs. Like it was just writing about stuff that I was feeling, at the time, and
hmm
just went that way. And of course, my stuff isn't anywhere near like what Chris LeDoux stuff is. It's just it's different, and so I think it worked out good because it was never an intentional move to to do that kind of thing. There I kind of see some guys that that they try to jump on that niche, because it's a I guess it'd be an easy market to take advantage of if
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to. But yeah, and even now, I don't rodeo. I don't really write a whole lot of those songs, and it's not because I don't appreciate it or care about it, but I also don't want to write a bunch of fake shit either.
Yeah.
Um, so try to
Well, and
stay
what
true to the songs.
those guys that jump on a trend because it's catchy end up becoming Florida Georgia Line and Kane Brown and
Yeah,
shit. So and no, and then that leads to you being lost on your own 30-acre property and having to
yeah,
have the cops called. But no,
yeah,
I like the authenticity behind it though. I mean that's I think that's something that resonates with everybody. Whether and going back to like your first record with the cowboy shit on there. There's not a ton of production value on it, and like you look at somebody like
no,
Colby Yates, where his first record sounded like it was recorded in an actual tin can.
yeah,
But there's still some realness to it that regardless of the production value, people still love it. And
yeah. Those songs. I did a bunch of that stuff when I was in college, and I just had like a kind of a crappy little computer mic, and I didn't know what I was doing. I never really had any intention of, and this was kind of right before like a lot of the streaming and stuff, and before you could, the idea of I'll just get this out in front of the right people on the internet and people see it, it'll all
mm-hmm.
work out. It wasn't really like that at that time. Like I was just recording at the house just so I actually, got them down, and then like giving out some friends at rodeos and burning copies at home. It wasn't any, there wasn't the production value was really bad, and it makes me cringe now, listening to some of this stuff. And I'm proud of the songs and the lyrics, but I was learning. I'm still learning to play the guitar,
Yeah.
like. But then I was just picking it up, and yeah, I listened to some of it. It's like, this really makes me cringe a little bit. But uh, the heart was there behind it. I think that kind of helped them break through when all the streaming and everything else kind of came around and made it accessible.
Yeah. Well, I
But
remember listening to some of your stuff kind of towards my tail end of college. So I graduated in '08, and so I was big into the Red Dirt scene, the Red Dirt Texas scene.
sure,
But then yeah, I had some buddies on the rodeo team that they brought some of your stuff, and I think Colby Yates, and I was like, oh, this is like Red Dirt, but it's different, As this has got a more, it's definitely more of a like a cowboy edge to it, and or particular rodeo edge. But there was still something. It wasn't just rodeo songs, and
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've listened to you on and off over the years, and I was like, I forget who I was visiting with, and I was like, I don't know much of the story on the guys. I know his music, and just by going off of your early songs, he obviously rodeoed at least some. But I don't
Yep.
know much about the guy. And then I was doing a little Google search just to kind of brush up on your history before I had you on, and I was like, huh, there's just not much out there. So there we go. We just
Good.
we get
Yeah.
to we get to we get to hear you on a long form anyway. So I just fill you out as I go.
Yeah, and the whole Red Dirt thing was pretty, it was Cross Canadian Ragweed and Reckless Kelly and Mike McClure and those guys for me right when I got to school, because I mean, Cross Canadian played it at Alva my freshman year. I didn't even go to the show
Mm,
because I didn't even know, and then
yeah.
but then I also got into um, my buddy Logan Wilmsman. He's a saddle maker. He lives down in Weatherford. Um, he lived with me all through college, and he really turned me on to like Dave Stamey
Mm-hmm.
and Tom Russell, Ian Tyson. Um, you know, I so I I never like intentionally try to ever rob anything, but I really listen to a whole lot of different kind of music,
Mm.
um, and I kind of I don't know I can't really claim any of it because I don't think what I do is something near as impressive as what those guys do. Because like especially like Ian Tyson, Tom
Mm-hmm.
Russell, and everything. I mean those guys are like incredible songwriters and um, but I was also always open to that kind of stuff. You know, I was never just into the red dirt or right into the
Mm.
rock and roll or anything like that. And but yeah, I don't really recall. You know, when I was younger, really having an appreciation the songs for songs and lyrics until I
Yeah.
started getting a little bit older, getting into college, and um, you know, with the Chris Ledoux albums, like once that stuff started to be once I was finding things that you know were actually happening to me and things that I was feeling that were coming through on those songs. That's when it started to hit home, and I started to kind of find the power in them.
Mm.
But but yeah, so yeah, it was kind of all over the place as far as you know what I was listening to back then. But I still listen to a lot of that stuff still.
Who's the most or who's the artist that nobody would think you would listen to?
I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know. You know, I like right now, like I listen to a lot of those guys. Um, like I like Culture Wall stuff.
Mm.
Um, uh, Lucero. I don't know if you ever listen to those guys, but
Yeah.
like that's my favorite band as far as like
Okay.
a an alt country kind of thing, and I think some of that might come through and like because you can't really tell on some of them older albums of mine, but now and if it's like live show or something like I pretty much try to leave it all out there you know when we're playing and blow my voice out just about every night and
Yeah.
that kind of might show up but yeah I listen to a lot of different stuff and and yes I don't really have any like weird thing that I might listen to
Yeah.
um
Because
but
you just listen to everything, huh?
yeah I try to stay pretty open about it and I'm probably pretty predictable about the stuff that you know, that people might
Mm.
think that I would listen to is, it's but probably about on par. But yeah, I try to keep it pretty, diverse and, cause now, like, I don't, I think I'm found my, found my kind of groove as far as what I want to write about and want to play. That it's not really affecting you know my songwriting as much but some of that
Yeah.
older stuff it probably still hangs in there a little bit and probably shines through some but yeah I kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I was I guess here a while back I bought the Cowboy Killers album, and then that is just like a 180 different sound than your what was it, the Cowboy Shit record, whatever that one was. I forget the name of it, but yeah,
Yeah, that was
it's
Lucky Buck Sessions.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's just like a completely different sound between the two, and but it's still good. I mean, it's still you. You can, I mean, there's no doubt who's playing them, but it's a completely different sound. But I like the more rock driven stuff that you've been putting out as much as I like the just more songwriter type stuff that you did early on, and the songwriting's still there, and yeah, I'm kind of like you. Early on, I just listened kind of to the musical part of it, but I didn't pay much attention to the lyrics till I got
sure.
more into later in high school or college, and now if the lyrics aren't good, and then it's just kind of whatever,
Yeah, it'll lose me like I've there's some stuff that I'll listen to and um I think that comes from like I kind of pride myself more on my writing. Like I'm not a guitar player. Like I I write enough or play enough to write songs to, and enough so my bandmates aren't chewing my ass. but
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like put that album out a year or two ago, and it was the first time I had access to have my full band put together, and and it kind of opened up a lot of stuff. So I want to do like more rock and roll things, and then now I'm kind of finding the center a little bit. I think with some of these newer ones. We're gonna put some out here soon, but yeah, I'm kind of because I go out and do some acoustic stuff too, and go out and play solo shows, and it's for the longest time I didn't have the confidence to go out and do that because I didn't think the songs could stand up with just me, being on a guitar, and
Mhm.
and now I'm getting the confidence, but in the songs, and yeah, it's kind of it's a nice spot to be. Like I'm a far ways from where I should be. I'm really thankful for everything I got right now. Like I never planned on making a career out of this. It was kind of just a thing for fun, and now I work at it a little
Yeah.
more, and I try to be a little bit more of a student of it too, and like I'll never go and rip off some of those people that I listen to, but that appreciation for I'll find a line in a song or something, and be like, holy shit, that blows me away. And like sometimes that's all it takes for a song. It could be one
Yeah.
line, just a killer line, and it just makes the whole thing for you. And so here lately, I've um, really tried to be a little bit more of a student of it, and not just go out there just kind of swinging for the bleachers and putting out whatever comes to my head. I sit on the songs a lot longer than I used to. It takes me a lot longer to write something, or even to put an album together, because I'm a little more critical of myself. Back in college, it was like, wrote this yesterday. Let's
Yeah.
record it on the computer and put it out into the world, and they're
Yeah.
still haunting me today.
Yeah, yeah, but it's cool to see the growth. I've kind of got a similar deal with this podcast here. Like I wrote the first, I don't know how many episodes I recorded. I did it all horseback when I was just riding pins, and I recorded it on my phone with a pair of earbuds. And apparently the content was decent enough that people listened, but the quality, sound quality, was just garbage. And yeah, it's there's probably a reason why nobody does a outdoor podcast, or at least not consistently. But it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, it's good when that still shines through. That it still worked out. It's
yeah,
the
and
same.
I think if I wouldn't have ever tried it, just to see that that people wanted to listen to it, then I would have never known. But I think you gotta have those shitty beginnings to figure out where the hell you're going, and what it's gonna take to get there. But um, yeah, failure does a lot to help you succeed later on in life, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what. Like for the longest time, like even after having some of those songs out there, and I was making some money on them and stuff, with like the streaming and everything, and um, it just never was something that uh, I, I never put a lot of thought into or effort into, and I give my wife Blaine so much credit, because she really pushed me to you know really kind of work on it, and get after it, and like this past year, I this past winter, I stopped the job that I was working, and just to play music full time. And of course, this year isn't like a great year for touring bands, but yeah, kind of took the leap, and haven't haven't fell hard yet. Like it's still working out,
Yeah,
and I look at it more as I could not really care to go go play like, some stadium or be on TV or
Mm,
anything. But if I can, it's a means for me to spend more time with my kids and my family, and have control on my life, I guess.
yeah.
It's so I look at it that way, and it's great to. I love playing music too, but if it wasn't paying the bills, I wouldn't be out there probably, hammering away at it if it was if it meant like not taking care of things at home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's uh how weird has it been this year for guys like you that just that are on the road.
Like we're not up till this year, we've kind of been doing a lot of down and backs. Like we play, um, like I'd say I probably travel more this year than I have any other
Really?
year. Um, and I think it's just because we're not like a major touring band. We're not
Mm.
we're still pretty mobile. Like it's not like we have like a crew to pay. I mean, we get in the van and go,
Yeah.
and we're still mobile enough that and hungry enough for it now that um, shoot, we got to go drive 12 hours. So what?
Yeah.
We go and do it. But it was kind of touchy there in March when stuff started getting canceled, and I didn't have a ton of shows booked. But you know, whatever anyone wants to think of this thing, like it's been super hard on this industry as far as like venues and bars, and I feel
Hmm.
like all the burden's been placed on the wrong people, no matter what you believe. And
Yeah.
and so I can't really say that like I like handled it with a ton of caution. I did it first, but then I was like, you know what? I've been playing all over the country for and I don't know if you want to get into this stuff on the
No, no.
podcast,
Hey, we can get
but
in. We can go
yeah,
wherever you want.
yeah, yeah. We've since March, we've kind of been all over, and 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 we haven't got sick.
Yeah.
And like I don't buy it, and I I know that there's is something the deal does make people sick, and and I feel for those people, but I also think it's like the country has been like crippled
Yeah. A good long
for the wrong
while.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've gone all over, and it felt like there in the summer we were kind of going in, like we went to Arizona and Texas, and it would feel like we would get there right when they would open stuff back up, and timing was just right, and we go play a show, and then we'd leave, the next week they'd shut stuff down again, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I always try to like just stay nimble, because if this happened once, there's a good chance that it'll happen again, or who knows how long it'll happen for. So if you can't go play with full band, and you can't go play large venues, go play solo, go play acoustic
Mm.
shows. um Shoot, I've even done stuff where, like, if I'm going to be in an area, I'll just throw something up on social media and be like, hey, you guys want to have a backyard party? I'm down.
Yeah.
You don't want this, a lot of bands do that, but it costs people a lot. I'm just like, you guys would buy some merch and whatever's worth to you, that doesn't matter to me. And and people have been really really good about it. And the touring, the going around playing live has kind of been like more of a perk for me. The streaming and stuff kind of pays our bills at home, um, but I'd like to get to a point where my band can kind of stay pretty well booked up on the road, and
Yeah.
keep them paid up to do this. But yeah, it's sorry, I got a little off subject there, but it's been a
No,
weird year,
it's all good.
and
Yeah.
but we're still thankful that for what we've been able to do this year. I think it's um, we've just gone out and not been afraid to go make the long drives if we have to, and just we'll still make money doing it, but might not make a whole lot of money, but we'll still kind of just try our dance, in the
Yeah.
meantime with current landscape, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's yeah, you're on the wrong or the right show if you want to bitch about the COVID. I've been bitching on this thing for
Oh,
a
okay.
while. It's a bunch of horse shit. But uh, you know, when we started or when it started kind of going down, we had just hosted a band here. And it was kind of one of those little deal. I'd met the guy at an Elko, and he was, you know, I was trying to get him on the podcast, and he's like, "Well, hey, we're gonna be kind of going through your area. Is there anybody that wants to throw a, you know, like a house party or something?" And we ended up getting him a gig here at the bar, and then like literally a couple weeks after that, like everything shut down, and I like, you know, watching his social media timeline, and they're just like show after show canceled. You know, like their whole fucking spring was just man, that sucks so bad, and I
Yeah.
just I. I don't buy into it either. I don't think it was any of it was necessary, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel for those guys. Like, 'cause there's so many bands and artists that were hit super hard, you know, and especially the guys that are going to play the big show, you know, the bigger shows. Um, it's almost like the guys that are playing either going playing the big shows or you know some of those bands that you know play local gigs
mm,
and depend on that 3 or 4 hour you know bar set. you
mm,
know, like those guys are out of work, and
yeah,
we were fortunate to be like kind of somewhere in that um, middle there, but yeah, it's brutal for especially those bigger touring groups. Like that's a shit. It's like because literally there isn't a whole lot of relief in sight. I mean, there's some bigger stuff you know getting advertised for you know for next year, but
yeah.
yeah, it's been weird. You know I've kind of lost the for there's been some artists that I follow that I kind of like. I believe everyone can feel how they want to about it, and just like with anything. But when you start pushing it on everybody else and
Mm,
be out there, I don't really agree with that because I mean, you don't know what situation everyone else is in, or you know, they want to feed their families too, and
yeah.
and yeah, I was curious there for a while. You know, some of those guys got pretty holy, and it's like, yeah, well, it's all good now, but what are you gonna do if this keeps on for another year or so, and you're not, you know,
Uh,
you're not working? You can have the nest egg now, but what about next year? What if they shut that down? You're still gonna be, you know, singing the same tune, I guess. You know, it's a
well, and what the craziest thing for me that, and maybe the most disappointing thing for me is it was always about, well, you just you want to hurt people instead of like, no, maybe just people don't think the government has the right to tell you what to do with you, you know, and
yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
yeah,
Is not I never once thought this thing was completely a hoax, but I
right,
never once thought this thing was near the, you know, the cataclysmic proportions that they've been reporting since day one. I just like just because the government says you have to do it doesn't make it right. Doesn't mean they have the right to tell you to do that, and that's the part that it just kind of gets lost in all of it. And like
yeah,
I don't care if it was you know, Ebola, COVID, or AIDS. You know, it's just
yeah,
the government doesn't have a right to just tell you you can't operate your business,
yeah,
and that's the part that just that's the really the argument that gets lost in the whole thing. I think.
yeah. Because it becomes pretty emotional, and it's a lot of there's a lot of people doing things that they think they should, and they try. You want to. No one goes out of their way for the most part to hurt their fellow man. You know,
Yeah,
I think for the most part, people go into things with the best intentions, and sometimes it gets misconstrued or gets blown out of proportion, and yeah, it's just been a really weird year.
it's been really crazy, but yeah, I think there's some good things that have come out of it. I mean, yeah, I always looking for a little bit of a silver lining, but there's some good things that have come of it. But I like I know it's got to be hard on guys like yourself that like you play music for a living, and especially where you were never an album type of guy. You were just play music in front of people type of guy. Like
Yeah.
they like I always said, you know there's studio artists, and then there's the troubadour type, and you were definitely on the troubadour end. So like if you're not playing in front of people, getting that reaction, it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's been like it's been nice with not having the regular job too. I helped run a shit spreading business for the past 3 years, just clean out feedlots. so like this has been a nice even with shows getting canceled and stuff. It's like, man, it's kind of nice to have a breather and
yeah,
hang out with my kids.
it beats
The
being a
past few
turd
years,
herder, huh?
what's that?
It beats being a turd herder,
Yeah, yeah,
huh?
yeah. For the past few years, it was a little hectic, going in and doing that, and then going and playing on the weekends. Especially, I got a 1 and a 3-year-old, so it's it's kind of nice to be around, at least on the
Yeah.
weekdays, the weeks during the week, and then take off on the weekends if I can. But yeah, it all has its good sides. So I'm thankful for where we're at right now. It's stuff will get better.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what's you said you got some new stuff coming out. What's the kind of the timeline on that?
uh, we are just um, I wanted to put a full album out, but I'm kind of I got to record. It's been kind of our buddy that we record with. He goes and plays in a band too. So getting the times to match up has kind of been a little hectic. But I just recorded another 2 songs, um, and I'm not sure if I maybe put one out as a single, and then whenever I wrap it up, put the rest of the album out.
Yeah.
It's been it's kind of weird. Like I don't I like putting albums out, but it also you put an album out, and for the most part, people find 2 songs they like on it, and maybe never even listen to other stuff. So with with everything being streamed now, it's kind of the landscape to put singles out. So everything kind of it'll either flop or people will take a listen. So
Mm.
I kind of, if there's a song that I really like, I'll put it as a single, and I think I might do that. I got one. It's actually a pretty cool song that um, we live just like 3 or 4, about 3 hours from like the Sandhills
Mm.
of Nebraska, and that's where my drummer and our buddy that kind of takes all the band pictures and does merch and that kind of stuff. That's where they live, and it's a story from the '50s out of there about a hired man that that went out on killed his boss, and the local ranchers it was the last posse in the Sandhills. They got on their planes and tracked this guy down, and so anyway, that's a song we just recorded, and I'm pretty excited to put that one out. So I might put that one out as a single because it's kind of gets away from the rock and roll and kind of more back into like the cowboy story song, and it's a true story, which is kind of cool.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so I try to look for different angles, and there's only so many things I can write about myself because I feel like I'm hanging with my kids all the time, or I'm driving. so so
Yeah.
I don't want to bore people like content wise. So I'm always looking for stuff that's different, and I'd like to have. I try to make sure I keep actively working on stuff that's made for solo acoustic shows too. That are just kind of the lyrics are what's going to grab them. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I'll probably put that one out here in a couple of weeks, I'm guessing,
That's
and then
awesome.
maybe finish out the album this year, and I was thinking kind of maybe having one side a little more rock and roll stuff that we do in the band, and then having the other side of it, be a more stripped down and more kind of cowboy songs kind of deal. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I feel like that's about what we're doing as a band anymore. It's a weird mix. Like people ask me what we play, you know, like, you're never gonna guess. But yeah, that so we might do that, but we'll see.
That's funny. So, I got a story for you that kind of correlates to that Sandhills story that you're talking. And this one has no basis in truth at all, but the story I'm telling you is true, but the story behind it was incredibly false, but it was funnier than hell. So my father-in-law, long-winded, sarcastic bastard, has some of the funniest stories you'll ever hear in your life. And he was day working. He's a contractor, and he's building a new bathroom or something on the bunkhouse at a ranch in southeast Colorado. And he there was this kid from the Nebraska Sandhills that was interning there, and just typical 19-year-old college kid. He was there in Lamar. He was in the horse training program at LCC,
Okay.
and or maybe he was in the ranch management program. I can't remember, one of the two. But he just cocky young cowboy. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
And
He was getting a degree that didn't matter.
exactly. Yeah, I spent $100,000 so I can get a piece of paper that makes me feel better when I'm riding pins in 15 below weather. One of those type of people.
Yeah.
And he he was catching a bunch of shit there at the ranch, and my father-in-law had this story about the Clawhammer massacre, and it was complete horse shit. But he told the story about how a guy had just massacred his whole family with a claw hammer because the boss pissed him off or something. But he'd always tell it in a way that like, is he talking about himself or is he talking about he just he was played it real cool. And he'd been going back and forth with this kid from Nebraska, and he's like, "What in the fuck has Nebraska ever contributed to the continental United States? Nothing but steers and queers come from Texas, or from Nebraska." Just ripped him up, and I was giving him all sorts of hell. And he was in the shop working on something, getting this bathroom plumbed, and he saw the guy's hat, bouncing on the skylights of the garage door. So he just grabs a claw hammer, of course, and just starts hammering, just beating on the table. And the foreman of that ranch, his name was Bo, and the kid pops in through the door, and Steve just wham, 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 and looks around and goes, "What the fuck do you want?" And the kid's eyes get about that big, and he's like, "Have you seen Bo?" Wham! Fuck Bo! And that kid never backpedaled so fucking fast in his life. And then he was I forget what exactly, but it's something like, I swear to God, I'll go back to prison over this horse shit. And,
You gotta leave him wondering.
yeah, it was. But yeah, that kid was from the Sandhills, and I bet he was never so happy to get back to him.
By the first person. I give those guys a lot of shit. Like it's cool. Like it's a different, you get in country like that. It's so different from some of these other spots, and some of those guys, they just love it. And like my drummer's a rancher from Hyannis, and then Scott Sweet, and then our buddy Clay, who I was telling you about, I got the story from. The Sandhill Slayer story from. He lives over there by Ellsworth.
Okay.
Hills, but yeah, those guys love it down there. I like where we're at. I like being up at we're kind of on the prairie there, kind of east of Rapid City. I kind of like seeing some shit every once in a while.
Yeah.
But so
yeah, that I just went to the Sandhills at the end of September, and that was the first time I'd been in that part of Nebraska, and it's different country. The good people though. I had
Yeah,
to
it's
went
cool.
to
It's cool, and people are great. But yeah, it's different.
yeah, it really is. They're yeah, just driving through there through the sandhills up to Sioux Falls to the airport, man. It just there's a lot of cattle through there, and uh, yeah, that was the first time I'd been in that part of the world, and I sure enjoyed it. There's dang sure good people, um,
Yeah.
and in South Dakota, I haven't spent. The only time I spent was driving from Sioux Falls into the Sandhills. That's the only time I've been in South Dakota, but uh, I'd say there's a lot of people looking at South Dakota nowadays because of your
Yeah,
governor.
I say so. We've seen a lot of out of state plates past
Yeah,
few months.
yeah,
Uh,
your governor's probably going to get a pretty hard look at president in 24, I'd imagine.
yeah, yeah, it's been pretty nice up there. I love it up there. My wife's from Phillips, South Dakota, which is it's not quite central. It's kind of right there west of central, I guess.
Mm,
But but yeah, um I lived in Oklahoma for a while, and it was Oklahoma was like my first taste of like kind of wide open spaces and
mm,
not having people all around. And
yeah.
and then when I met Blaine and we moved up there, yeah, I love it up there. I'm glad that's where we landed.
Um, what's what was the biggest difference between I guess culture wise between Baltimore and Oklahoma?
Uh, I I guess I'm not really sure. I the It was just like we're out here in Maryland. Like it's just you got to drive a long ways to get away from anybody. Like
Yeah,
it's and then it kind of blew my mind where you actually had to drive to get to a town. I know
yeah,
that's not foreign for a lot of people that we know now, but
mm,
like um it just kind of blew my mind. And I didn't really when I left here, I didn't really have a game plan. Um, I was just trying to find a school to go to that had a rodeo team, and it was either Oklahoma or Wyoming, and it just worked out to go to Oklahoma for some reason, and then yeah, the little slower pace, and like I can't really speak of Oklahoma now just because it's kind of been so long since I was down there, but looking at between South Dakota and here, um like people are friendlier, everyone takes the time, it's and that's not everyone, but it's I like the people better out
yeah,
west,
yeah,
and it's just a lot faster pace around here, and it's hectic.
yeah, yeah. It's for sure. I've spent a little bit of time on the East Coast, and I truly think the further west, well, once you get past east or west of the Mississippi, I think the the way people are kind of change.
Yeah,
That's not saying anything against like the Midwest people that are on the east side of the
yeah, yeah,
Mississippi, but like once you get off that eastern, once you get off the coasts, like and get into the middle of the country, like people are just a little little more laid back, a little more
sure,
kind, or I don't
yeah,
know if kind's the right word, or just friendly, I guess.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's like they take the time whether they got it or not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, then when
yeah,
you get
yeah,
to some place like Alva, I grew up not too far from Alva, but you don't typically say it's 5 miles away. You usually talk about like how many hours it takes to get there. That's
yeah,
that's how anywhere in that part of the world, it's just it's nothing for me being on an avid concert goer. It was nothing for us to drive 3 hours to a show. I mean, it was
yeah.
sometimes it
My
was like
whole
six
sense
to
of
ten.
my whole sense of distance has been shot to shit here lately.
Yeah,
Like if it's under 12 hours, it's like no big deal anymore.
Yeah.
Like it feels like ever it gets that distance gets farther and farther. I say last year it was like anything over 6 to 7 hours wasn't too bad, and then this year it's like we can make it in a day. It's not it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
We drive it. We'll leave the night before and drive through the night, and then the rest of the day get somewhere now. And we just pull a enclosed trailer, and I got a van with a camper kind of setup. I converted it into like a camper kind of setup, so there's normally one or two guys sleeping all the time in the van. Someone's always driving, and so we can kind of cover a lot of ground that way. So it's but yeah, I don't really have any gauge on distance anymore, though. It's kind of gotten blown out there here lately.
Yeah. So, I get kind of a weird question, but you were talking about some of your influences, and so Dave Stamey does an excellent rendition of Cowpoke.
Oh
Coulter
yeah.
Wall just released one. Who you got? Coulter Wall, Dave Stamey.
I can't pin them up against each other. I like them both in their own way. I know that's kind of the cop out move because like I really like both of them. Yeah, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
Oh man.
Yeah. I've been listening to Dave Stamey for the longest time, you know.
Yeah.
But
his is such a fun.
I appreciate them. What's that?
His just sounds like he's having fun. Like Coulter Walls is excellent. It's just got a different sound to it. And
Yeah.
Dave just sounds like he is
Dave's
happy to be alive.
More familiar to me. I say I listen to it more.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're both good. But I have listened to Dave's way more though.
Yeah.
But,
what's say when you guys get real big and you're selling out big shows and stuff, and you're really making fuck you money. What's the first stupid purchase you make?
You know, I'm not trying to like drop out of one of your questions here, but like I have really been I've never really been a big material guy, you know, as far as this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the longer I do this and the more stable my financial situation's been getting, it's nice to kind of pay the bills on time. So, like I'm like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, everyone says this, but like I feel like we have everything we need. Like I build a we probably buy some nicer guitars.
Yeah,
you know,
that's all right.
We can talk to any musician, like whether they got the money or not, like they're still buying nicer guitars whenever they can.
It's like any cowboy with a bit or a saddle or or a new rope or something. Yeah, you may not have the money, but you can use it.
You find that stuff along the way to blow what you get.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know, really, and like I said, a lot of people say that, and I'm so content with my life, to be honest, that like we don't have like a lot of like, we don't have a huge place. We live in a double wide, like it's nice. Like we don't drive new cars.
Yeah.
I got a Buick LeSabre and a Ford Econoline and an 03 Tahoe. Like I'm really thankful to like just be able to just take care of stuff. Like my wife stays home now, and and you know I get to be home a lot. Like I can't honestly tell you that think of anything, you know, of course, we'd probably buy a bigger place or something like that. Like maybe
But
buy
you're
a little
not gonna
house.
put like a giant pirate ship in the back of your.
No, probably
Not
not. Like
nothing cool like
I, I know,
that.
I know. As soon as I start making some decent money, like I would like to buy a nicer van.
Yeah.
Like everyone always jokes, like, "What about those tour buses?" Like, well, you can drive a whole lot, get a lot farther on the fuel with in a van than you can a tour bus or something like
Yeah.
that. And, maybe that's just a cheap side of me, and it's not like I mean, my parents, it's not like we were poor or anything. Like
Yeah.
my parents have always, we never wanted for anything.
Yeah.
And but I just you know, from college on, it was just a lot of like, I feel like I was working a lot of like odds and end job, or like some weird jobs just to, just to pay, be able to afford, to live in.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I can't honestly say that there's a whole lot of stuff that we really want for. I'm if it never got any better than this and it stayed the course, I'm just as happy. And it's not because
Yeah.
I don't, not because I don't think it could get better. I just I'm just so content, like just being able to be around my kids and my wife, and yeah, that's not me. That's not bullshit for me. I am truly thankful. Like I can't believe that I get to do this. And
Yeah.
I had some jobs that really sucked, and
Well,
like
you were running a shit spreading company. That's the shittiest job on earth, literally.
yeah, yeah. It's nice to not when it's 15 degrees to not have to like put a new starter on a truck or something. Like it's
Yeah.
great. And I was thankful for that too. Like that job meant that my wife could be home for once and be with our kids. Like,
Isn't it crazy how when it's cold like that and you're turning a wrench under your well, if it's on a manure truck or whatever, but your knuckles all of a sudden become like that wide and they hit everything.
it's the biggest target.
Yeah, it's just like all of a sudden like your hand grows to about 5 times the size it normally is, and it just hits everything.
And I know there's plenty of guys that might be listening to this right now. They're like, "Fuck you!" They're gonna have to deal with the same bullshit this winter. But
Oh, my cousin is a oil field or a gas field mechanic, and he was bitching about that this morning. He was out in the snow and turning wrenches, and so that's why you go cowboying for a living. You don't have to pick up wrenches as much.
Yeah, it's but anyway, back to the whole thing. It could probably get a little better, but it's pretty dang good right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
You're like, I'm probably not gonna ask you more questions since you're just ducking off.
Well, in your defense, I've probably asked some pretty shitty questions, but whatever. No, I just I made a. You're gonna have to cover cowpoke one of these days, so I can add it to my list of just artists singing cowpoke. So I've got Dave Stamey, Eddie Arnold, Coulter Wall, and there's like 5 or 6 of them because I just love that song. I think that's the quintessential cowboy song. Whether you're a vaquero, buckaroo type, or a puncher, or cow catcher from down south, it's like the ultimate cowboy song is cowpoke, and so I appreciate all versions. I gun to my head, I got to go with Dave Stamey just because he sounds like he's having the time of his life when he's singing it, and Coulter Wall does an excellent version. Just like I said, gun to my head, I got to go Dave Stamey on it, and no, I'm excited to see what you put out. That's I love good songs, and I love hearing songs that they just come from I guess from the heart for it to be. If we're gonna be super cliche, we're gonna live, laugh, love, and it's gonna come from the heart. God damn it.
Let's go watch football now. God.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Like it's I was just thinking of what I was going to say, but um, yeah, it's a that. Ah, shit! I can't. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
That's all right.
Add you, what you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate just songs that are real, just real life stuff, and that's why you know I don't listen to the radio hardly at all anymore. I got my own methods to find new artists, or reconnect with ones that I haven't listened to in a while, and um, and it helps having a podcast, because then I have people
Oh
that
yeah.
send in requests too. So that I learned a lot about the Western cowboy music scene, just a lot from my audience, and
Yep.
I hadn't even heard of Dave Stamey till about a year ago. So it was it was pretty cool, and I just they're just something that uh, when you hear lyrics that from a guy that's going through something, it hits a little different than these the bullshit that they put on the radio anymore, and it's
Yeah.
always refreshing. You may probably never make the money that those guys make, but people will remember you way longer than Luke Bryan.
I can live with myself too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have yeah, this yeah, that's been like the main thing is to never make something, even though you make up story songs and stuff like that, to not try to be something you're not. Like I'm not like I was a rodeo cowboy for a long time, but I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I don't go out and try to tell people that I'm like cowboying on the daily.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I've done the work and I've got to experience it and I have the appreciation for it. And I think a lot of the appreciation for it has came from living here. Nothing against Maryland, but came from living here and longing for something else. And so I felt strongly about it and I appreciate it a lot. And so I think that's why I like my music's not for everyone. Like there's probably a lot, some of the groups cowboys that like my stuff might seem like bullshit to them, but you know the stuff I write about is real to me.
Yeah.
And if it hits somebody, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you're on the right track. Well, anybody who's cowboyed forever, they can smell through the bullshit, but they can also, I know plenty of sure enough hands that listen to you, and so you're hitting the right chord. It's you don't have to be the best hand or have done everything to get the point across, and I think you do a pretty good job of it. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
so I guess
I don't worry about it a whole lot, but
yeah.
I was just for a talking point.
Yeah.
It's just keep the songs honest.
Yeah, you bet. Oh, and that's a good thing, I think. All right, last question, and this one you got to answer. Of your entire catalog, which song are you the most proud of?
Oh,
Gun to your head.
I've got a song. I've got a song called "Running on Fumes." It's an older one. As far as like the rodeo stuff, that one really kind of got for me when I wrote it. There was some stuff in there that the feeling behind it, and it was all stuff that I was going through at the time. I mean, even cowboy shit, like whenever you have a song that has an expletive in the title, people automatically assume like it's a joke thing or something like that, but it's not. Like that's really it was doing going to rodeos with my friends and stuff like that, and just like maybe looking back on that kind of thing, and being reminiscent of that kind of thing is what that was about. So yeah, I'd say like those two are pretty important to me. And I think I think sometimes songs are kind of like girlfriends. You know, at the time they feel
Yeah,
like the best thing ever,
yeah,
once you moved on, you don't care for them the same way, and there's always
yeah,
a better one to be found. But
yeah,
yeah, like that "Running on Fumes" song still means a lot to me, and and the rest of them, I guess second place kind of changes all the time.
yeah,
But yeah, those it's not always the ones that make you the most money. I mean, like Barrel Rachel Land has made me more money than anything, and it's my least favorite song I wrote, and it's not because I don't appreciate people listening to it because it pays the bills and it's funny, but like I'm not a joke writer. You know,
yeah.
I don't ever want to be a parody writer or anything like that. It was just something a college kid kind of came up with just to be funny, you know, and it's
How
not
much
really
shit did you catch from the Karens about that song?
not really haven't like I make an effort to never read like YouTube comments or anything like that. We always joke around at shows like if it bothers you, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, I
But yeah.
a funny story about that. I just got my ass reamed in the YouTube comments the other day, and this was an episode I put out over a month ago, I think. Uh, but I did like a historical piece on old Texas gunfighter named Clay Allison, and this was just I'd heard about him somewhere. I like come across the like as a like old west account on Instagram or Twitter or something like that, and so I did a little research on him. Interesting story. Like this guy was obviously had some pretty serious mental problems after he was a Civil War vet.
Yeah.
Well, apparently his great granddaughter listened to it and was not
Oh,
happy with my synopsis of it. And I was like, I'm sorry, this is just what I found on the internet, so my bad.
that's
Like,
rough. Like that's what like even like that Sandhill song. I mean, we're that's only 70 years removed. You know, like
yeah,
I worry about a little bit of that kind of stuff too. Whenever I try messing with historical stuff, because we all the only thing we get is the stuff that we can read. You know,
yeah,
and it can put you in a weird spot. So knock on
yeah,
fucking cement wall. I don't want to deal
yeah,
with that either. But yeah, that's kind of shit. Yeah, for the most part, people are pretty good. And they know that I'm not a anyone that knows me knows that I'm not an asshole, and I treat women with respect and all. So like they don't think I'm like that, but I'm sure there's some out there that don't know and take it the wrong way. But
yeah. Well, I think that's kind of a
if it was
common
my life
deal.
achievement, if it was my crowning work, then I'd worry more about it. But I really don't give a shit, I guess.
Yeah, I remember Cody Canada. There was one show like the crowd was screaming that he played Carney Man. And he's like, God, I hate that fucking song. And
Yeah.
uh, Core Blund was saying the same thing about like the truck got stuck. He wrote it as like it was a 5 minute song and just kind of a funny story, and then it took off because it's funny, catchy, and then you get to where you just kind of hate it. But then he was like, but then I go look back at like Jerry Reed who made an entire career off of those funny kind of satire songs,
Yeah.
and he's still kind of a country music legend. So it is what it is. But
Yeah. I always I always try to look at it, and even when it comes to live shows, like it's not something that I'm like, if someone doesn't ask for it, probably not going to play it. But if someone asks for it, I'll play it
yeah,
because you never know. You never know how far someone comes to see a show,
mm,
and I try to always keep that in my mind. And um, like I've always I'm blown away. Like even now, um, just the people even know my songs at all. And then um, so I try not to ever discredit someone or not discredit. Can't think of the word right now, but I try to make sure that I keep that in mind no matter what I'm doing. That you never know. It might be kind of joked with you or something like that. But someone might have came a long way just to hear something, and you don't ever want to make someone feel shitty about it, because
Yeah.
like I appreciate it all the same. Like it's not my favorite thing, and it's not a not something that I hang my hat on. Like, it's done well, it's by far my most popular thing. But like I I just don't ever want to make anyone feel like shit. Like, I'm not gonna cuss at anyone if they
Yeah.
ask for it at a show or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, it's one of those ones that, you know, it's like perfect for you know, to go viral because it's funny.
yeah,
It's true, but it's also exaggerated, and it's just one of those things. Yeah, I can understand why it took off. For my personal preference, I like cowboy shit. I like Fistful of Leather. Those are the two that I like the most of yours. They hit hard. There's, you know, there's a lot of truth to them, and it's kind of a no fucks given attitude on both of them, and I like that. You know, it's just kind of the cowboy attitude as it is, and you know, I think those are very well written songs,
thank you.
and yeah, like you said, when you hear the or when you see the you have to bleep out the shit in a title. You know, a lot of people just kind of disregard it, but if you listen to that song, there's you know, it's there's some pretty deep lyrics to it, and I think that's one of your best
Thank you.
ones.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you have to. I don't know if you ever came across it, but Clay, our lead guitar player, and I, we sat down this past New Year's and drank some beer and recorded a couple. We recorded Fistful of Leather, Cowboy Shit, Pale Horse, and the Saddle Maker. Just for my sanity, just to have something that was not complete destroyed audio,
Yeah,
and put it out there. And it's under the Night Owl Sessions, and
awesome.
so it's just a little four track EP that's on Spotify and everywhere else. But it's got a black label on it, and yeah, I kind of just had to do it because I was like, you know what, like, I know people like some of these songs, and I like them too, and I I don't want to I don't want to make a big to do about it, about re-releasing something, because
Mm,
it's not a money grab. It's just for myself, just to have
yeah,
something that's a little bit better quality and sounds decent.
yeah.
But yeah, you have to check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, I will for sure. If you'll stick around just a little bit after we finish up here, but before we head out, where can everybody find you on social media? Find your music and everything.
Uh, you can find me on Spotify at Kenny Feidler, on Facebook at Kenny Feidler and the Cowboy Killers, and Spotify and everywhere else it's just under Kenny Feidler, whether it's got the band on it or not. And
Yeah,
KennyFeidlerMusic.com for merch and tour dates and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
awesome, man. Well, it's been a great conversation. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your time.
yeah.
Kenny Fiddler live from a Baltimore prison cell. Sign us off, if you will.
Move your asses. We're burning daylight.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, man.
I